Another adipokine of note is adiponectin. This one was discovered basically a year after leptin was discovered. And just like leptin, of course, it's released by white adipose tissue, has two receptors on the body, more expressed in subcutaneous white adipose tissue. Differently than leptin, adiponectin has a net anti-inflammatory effect. And it also has anti-arthrogenic and anti-hyperglycemic effects on the body as well. So in general, we see adiponectin secretion. The higher it is, usually the more health benefits we see associated with it. So like it says here, we do see an inverse relationship between adiponectin and obesity and insulin resistance as well. So higher levels of obesity, we usually see lower levels of adiponectin, and those lower levels of adiponectin are associated with actually an increased risk of insulin resistance. Okay, so in general, adiponectin secretion is a good thing. We typically want it to be higher. But its secretion patterns typically tend to decrease with obesity, with higher levels of adiposity. So how does adiponectin work? So like we mentioned, it does have an anti-inflammatory effect, but it's also really involved in clearing glucose from the blood and increasing fatty acid oxidation. Okay, so more adiponectin, we often see a decreased chance of diabetes because there's going to be less glucose in the blood, because the insulin receptor sensitivity increases, because there is more insulin that's being secreted, period. And both of these things are going to increase the amount of glucose transport into the cells, not just in the liver, but in other cells as well, okay? And some of that glucose is actually being taken up by adipose tissue. But in general, what's going on, what the good thing about adiponectin is, in general, we see a decrease in total blood glucose with higher secretion of adiponectin. Okay, so again, this gives you a little bit of summary of what I just said as well, but we like adiponectin as far as reducing the comorbidities that are seen with a number of different diseases, including obesity. However, like I said, in obesity, adiponectin secretion typically decreases, which doesn't make total sense, because if adiponectin is being secreted by adipocytes, and adipocytes, there's going to be more of them, and they're going to be larger with obesity, you would expect adiponectin secretion to go up. But it actually is going down with obesity, and we don't fully understand the mechanism by which that's occurring. Okay, but like I said, though, that decreased level of adiponectin that we see at higher levels of adiposity, we believe that's part of what links obesity with some of its comorbidities. Okay. Another adipokine worth mentioning is plasminogen activator inhibitor 1. And before I kind of go over what's on this slide, how about I show you the pathway on this slide that it's typically responsible for. Okay, so plasmin is a protein, is an enzyme which facilitates the breakdown of fibrin, producing more of these fibrin split products. So if you remember fibrin are those fibers, okay, that are found, for instance, in the blood, and that help blood clump together in order to form blood clots, which we need blood clots. We just don't want too many blood clots, because of course that increases the risk of one of those blood clots, those thrombi, getting stuck in a narrowed artery and promoting, well, if that happens in the heart, that can promote a heart attack, and if that happens in the brain, it can promote a stroke. Okay, so plasminogen activator inhibitor inhibits this plasminogen activator. Okay, and that plasminogen activator is responsible for converting the zymogen, the proenzyme of plasmin, into its active form. Okay, however, the obese phenotype increases the secretion of this inhibitor, which inhibits this process. Okay, and because there's more inhibition of plasmin formation, there's less fibrin breakdown, and there's more fibrin in general. there's higher levels of fibrin in general. The result is that the more fibrin that there is, the more likely that our blood is to clump together. And like we said, that can have various very negative cardiovascular effects. So this plasminogen activator inhibitor is secreted by adipocytes, and its secretion increases with obesity. So now we're seeing another link between obesity and cardiovascular disease. Okay? Because, again, that plasminogen activator inhibitor, hard to say, increases thrombi and also increases the risk of atherosclerosis and atherosclerotic-related heart attacks and strokes. Okay, so this is another factor, like I said, that's linking obesity to its comorbidities. Another factor that is secreted not just by adipocytes but other tissues in the body is interleukin 6, and you've probably seen this in some of your other physiology courses or maybe in your molecular biology courses, where you've learned that interleukin 6 is a major regulator of the immune system. Okay, so when we see a lot of IL-6 in the blood, that typically shows that there is more inflammation going on in the blood. Okay, one of the main ways that interleukin 6 promotes inflammation is that it promotes the activity of both T cells and B cells. Okay, and we see, like I said, more interleukin 6 being secreted with obesity. We also see higher amounts of it in type 2 diabetes too. And we believe, again, that this higher secretion and higher amounts of interleukin 6 that's found in obesity is something that's promoting that higher inflammatory state that we see in obesity, that again is linking it to its comorbidities. Okay. And then another pro-inflammatory cytokine that is secreted by a number of different tissues, but also by obesity as well, and one that you've probably seen before too, is TNF-alpha, tumor necrosis factor alpha. Okay, this is a pro-inflammatory cytokine, and again, its expression, its secretion is increased in obesity. Okay, and we believe that that not only correlates with adiposity, but also helps link obesity with insulin resistance, something that we're going to look at in the next module altogether. Okay, so taking that all together, when we talk about what we learned in the last module about leptin, and we learned about adiponectin, tumor necrosis factor alpha, interleukin 6, is that adipocytes don't just sit there. They communicate with the body. And they communicate with the body in order to, affect themselves by changing, for instance, appetite patterns and perhaps by promoting thermogenesis. But their secretion also is linked to various immune factors. And typically, the more adiposity that a person has, the more pro-inflammatory adipokine secretion patterns are found, which again links that with the comorbidities associated with obesity. Okay, so we learned about the most important adipokine, leptin, which is fairly new as far as us knowing about it. And we learned that leptin secretion increases with the size of adipose tissue, and that there's more leptin being secreted, that should lower appetite, but individuals with obesity are often have a leptin resistance. So they're not responding to leptin, and appetite doesn't go down, even though we have hyperleptinemia. Conversely, adiponectin, it's interesting that the more, even though it's secreted by adipocytes, the more adiposity we have, the less adiponectin that's being secreted. And adiponectin, that's a shame because adiponectin has this anti-inflammatory overall protective effect on the body. Okay, so I want you to know that adipocytes do interact with the body. They do secrete all these adipokines, and I want you to really realize that that's a good thing typically. But in obesity, that secretion pattern is compromised, and that is what is contributing to the pathology that we see with obesity.